Alright, today's topic isn't something new, it's something that's been talked about for quite a while now, and that would be sexism in video games. Now, when we think about the vast majority of video games, the vast majority of women portrayed in video games are usually very sexist portrayals. I mean, when you really think about it, a lot of women in video games are just these sticks with boobs, and that's about all they are. And because of this, most gamers, when they encounter a female in a video game, think of the character as being female first and a person second. Now, that's really not the gaming society's fault. It's really the fault of the developers, the people who developed the game, the people who developed this female character. One of the most obvious examples that I can think of is Catwoman in Batman Arkham City. And if you played this game, you probably know what I'm talking about. If you've seen someone play this game, you probably know what I'm talking about. Catwoman in that game is literally just walking sex. That's all she is. I mean, she really doesn't even fight people. She just humps them to death, and that's about it. I mean, they made Catwoman just sex. That was it. She's really not a person. It's just walking boobs. That's about it. Everything she does, every way that she moves is all sexual. I mean, even the way she stands, it's just chest thrust out, and you really don't think of her like a person. You just think of her as boobs. And when you really think about it, this portrayal of the female character is really prevalent when it comes to Japanese games, say like fighting games or JRPGs. I mean, a lot of the women in those games, they're just skinny and big-breasted, wearing thongs, and it's like, why? Why are they all like that? If you really think about it, it's really hard, near impossible, to come up with a female character that you would actually think of as a person first and a female second. Some of the best examples that I can think of for that would probably be Faith from Mirror's Edge and Anya in the first two Gears of War. Now, these really aren't perfect examples, because in the cutscenes, those weird animated cutscenes, Faith is still very much that image of the sexual female. And when it comes to Anya, the only reason that you could really count her is because of the fact that you rarely see her in the first two games. But then in the third game, she's actually on screen, and what did they do? They sexed her up. And for those of you out there who think that I'm wrong, I mean, really think about it. When you first see Anya in the first Gears of War, she's in this military outfit. There's really nothing to be seen. And then in the second game, no, you see her like once, and she's still in that military outfit. But then comes the third game, and now she's wearing less, and it's really odd considering the fact that she's now fighting, but she's wearing less than she was before. I mean, think about that. Why do the men get more armor than the women? I mean, you really can't argue that they sort of sexed her up for the third one. I mean, those games are very, very masculine, and you can't argue that. They are masculine games. So it kind of makes sense that they did that. Is it right? No, but they did. I mean, why is it? Why is it that we have all these female characters that we really don't think of as people? Why don't we think of them as people? Because that's the way the developers made them. And I'm not saying that's all female characters. I know it's not. But it's most. It's most. Most female characters in video games are just there as eye candy for the gamers. Because I know that's not true now, but it used to be that most gamers were male. So this is something that obviously clicked, you know? But even now, it's not the case that most gamers still are male, but there's a growing number of female gamers, and yet we still have these sexist female characters in video games. I mean, why is it that we have these Japanese games with these tiny women in these skimpy outfits wearing like thongs, and they're like fighting with swords, and this thong is going to protect them? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, why is it that we can't get a game where we have a strong female character that we can really relate to? And I'm sure a lot of you are thinking, oh, well, there's the new Tomb Raider. And where you'd be right if you were talking about the old Tomb Raider games. I'd say that was a stronger character than the new Tomb Raider. She's still just that ideal figure of a female, you know? And I think even more so with the old games. I mean, those impossible proportions that they made with those angled shapes. I mean, yes, very angular. It was an old game. But the proportions were very, very heavy-chested. But as far as the new Tomb Raider goes, I really haven't played it, so I can't say from experience. But just her looks, they're very, very, very feminine. And I've seen some footage of the gameplay and a bit of cutscene, and there was one cutscene that I saw where the camera is just blatantly staring down her shirt. And there's no getting past that fact. It's just down her shirt, it's there. I mean, game developers, why have you made every single sort of male character possible to play, but you don't make all these different female characters to play? You just make these sticks with boobs, and that's it. Get away from that. The idea that she should be a woman should come second. She should be a person first. If a female gamer can relate to a male character, why can't a male gamer relate to a female character? Get on this. Developers, get on this. There's really not going to be an article linked for this one. I mean, I really don't need an article. I read an article, that's what prompted me to make this video, but this is something that has been a problem for quite a while. So there's really not going to be an article linked in this one, but I'm sure you can find plenty of articles out there. As always, share the video, talk about this with your friends, and I'll see you next week.